for joining me. Happy Sunday to all of you. Excuse my voice, I'm a bit hoarse. I was in an area where there was a lot of cigarette smoke this weekend. It has bothered my voice. So excuse me during this live when I bring my commentary. This information is pertaining to the bio mother of the Cal City boy. She had spoken to Court TV, Vinnie Politan. And if you need verification for the information, it's in the YouTube queue and posted to my community board. Missing Cal City toddler's biological mother talks to Court TV. Thank you for joining me.
We've called them the Cal City toddlers. Orrin and Orson West are the names that were given to them by their adoptive parents, but you're looking at Sincere and Classic, two little boys who are missing, but those adoptive parents have been charged with their double murder. And before the end of last hour, we ran out of time. We had some technical difficulties, but we were able to get everyone together. So with us, Ryan Dean, the mom of Sincere and Classic, and her attorney, Joaquin McCoy. He's joining us from San Francisco. Ryan is in Dallas tonight. Thanks so much for staying over the top of the hour. We appreciate it. I felt so bad. I didn't want to cut you short. And Ryan, I want to start with you, Ryan. You were describing for us how bad this hurts, losing Sincere and Classic. And I want to back it up a little bit and try to understand what happened. Because my understanding was that when the children were in foster care, you were working with family services and your mom was working with family services, and we're trying to get Sincere and Classic back with their actual family. What was happening there, Ryan?
I did what they asked me to do. I went to parenting classes and I got my parenting certificates, and they wanted me to go to Ebony Counseling, and I did that. I did not complete that. That was for a reason though. And they just gave up. They just told me they were being adopted. Then they told my dad that they were with a teacher and a lawyer. Then they told my mom that they were fine where they were.
Obviously, that's not true, that they were not fine. They went missing, and those the parents that were given these two little boys by the state are charged with their double murder. It's beyond frustrating because the purpose should always be to try to reunify with the family. You've got grandma, you've got grandpa, you've got other members there. Did you ever have any interaction, Ryan, at all with Trezell and Jacqueline West, the accused killers?
Not before all of this. No, I know that one time they brought them to visit, and I wrote a letter, and I told Jacqueline, I don't know how this is going to go, but when my kids get older, I don't know if they're going to be staying with you guys or whatever, but just show them this letter. I'm not a bad mother. I still want to be in their life. She looked at me like I was crazy, and I don't know if the letter ever got to. Well, I know my kids can't read, but I know that I think she threw the letter away. So I didn't matter to them anyways. So I didn't know them though. I did not know them at all until I found out they were missing. I went to Cal City, and that's when I asked what happened.
And what happened when these two were looking at them on the screen here, when they in December reported the boys missing. You went to Cal City. Explain to us what happened. Did you talk to them? Did they talk to you? What happened there?
I went to Cal City, and LaToya, the boys' previous foster placement, knocked on the door, and when they didn't answer, so I walked down to the end of the driveway, and they answered about after 5 minutes, and Trezell came out with some pocket knives on him like he was ready to go to war. And I asked him, it started my spirit for one, and so I asked them what happened, and they came with this fake story, and they couldn't even cry. They had no emotion. They had nothing.
Take a moment, Ryan. Joaquin is still with us as well. Joaquin McCoy, your attorney. I want Ryan to be okay right now. Joaquin, this is puzzling, frustrating, but maddening. And I'm from the outside looking in. I can't imagine what it's like on the inside when you have your children taken from you. You try to work to get them back, and then they're handed over to a couple who had 4 other children who are young, were clearly in over their heads, but beyond that are now accused killers.
Yeah, I mean, this is a gut-wrenching case. You know, I've been a civil rights lawyer for 28 years, and I've never seen anything like this. What really is concerning is that the state of California or Kern County has not reached out to Ms. Dean to console her, to apologize, or anything. They've been silent in this regard. And in 2016, Congress recognized that the foster care system was broken. It's a $1 billion industry, and what was happening is that these funds were going to the state and the counties, and what they were doing at the local county level was breaking up families. And the Congress said, we're not doing this anymore because you're breaking up families prematurely to put them in a foster care and to have them, be placed in adoptions. And so what they said is now we're going to implement, which they did in 2018, the Family First Act. And what that meant is that Congress wanted to protect the preservation of the family. And Kern County was on this old model where clients like Ms. Dean had to prove that their house was safe. And so there's a seismic difference now, seismic change that has taken place, where the county has to prove that.
The way I get around nowadays is unique.
Sorry about that. Intermission.
You have to prove that foster care is better than their own home, or they have to find someone in the family to take the children. And so Kern County failed in this regard. They did not follow the federal mandates, which they should have.
And Ryan, I was speaking with your mom last hour, and she said that she was preparing a room for the boys as well. And that's blood. That's grandma.
Yes, she had everything. She had it set up so nice for them.
Ryan, I'll let you take another moment. We appreciate you coming on. I know this is extremely excruciating for you to think about, your reality, your life right now. Joaquin, explain to me, and I know it won't make sense, but explain to me how grandma was bypassed in this whole process.
I mean, we have a letter sent to her from Kern County in April of 2019, and basically they say to her, "You passed everything. We've looked at your home. You meet all the criteria there. You did a psychological assessment. Everything that we wanted you to do to get the boys, you met. However, the rep told her in the letter that, well, I talked to my supervisor and we decided to keep the children with the West. There was no reason given why the West should have the children.
Let me ask you this, Joaquin.
No reason.
Let me ask you this. Is there any financial incentive for the county to do that? Is there any financial incentive for the West, for Trezell and Jacqueline to have custody of these boys? That's what I'm wondering about.
Well, clearly the foster parents get paid to have, foster kids with them in their home. So they get paid, I think it's $4,000 to $7,000 per kid to be taken care of in their home. With respect to the county, yes, the county is incentivized by the state to take these kids and put them in foster care and then into adoptions. And there's a number that they get an amount. I think it's $5,000 per kid, but it may be more than that. But what we have found is that Kern County was the largest county to receive funds from the state for the foster care system in terms of adoptions and foster care of the children.
So if I'm following you here, if I'm following you here, and I understand the reason, like we want to do everything we can to protect the children in our community, in our towns, etc. But the way this system ends up getting warped is that it incentivizes breaking up biological families and taking children away from biological family members, whether it's mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, aunt. Is that what you're saying here?
That's what I'm saying. And if you look at the numbers, if you look to see how much money Kern County received, say in the year 2019, 2020, it's the third largest recipient of funds behind Los Angeles and San Bernardino counties in the state of California. How is that? How can anyone explain that? This little town of Bakersfield and the surrounding areas is not larger than a county of Los Angeles, but they receive the third largest amount of funds for their foster care program. And it's because you don't get money if you don't put kids in foster care. You get money if you put kids in foster care and adoptions. And that's the old model. There's a new model now, which was mandated by the Family First Act, which you now preserve the family. So we're going to give you this money to preserve the family, not break families apart. And so that's where Kern County and the state failed in this case, because those children should have been back with their family.
Okay, Brian, you got cut off last hour, and I asked you a question. A message that you would send tonight to those accused killers, Trezell and Jacqueline West, who are locked up right now, getting ready to face double murder charges in a trial out in Kern County. Please, now you have time. You're not going to get cut off.
I just feel like they were wrong. My kids did not deserve that. And I honestly really hate them, but it's nothing, they were just wrong.
Ryan, our thoughts are with you. Our prayers are with Sincere and Classic, those little angels. We thank you for joining us tonight. Joaquin, I know Ryan is in good hands, and I know you're going to do everything you can, but it's absolutely frustrating what happened to those boys, and we appreciate you coming on tonight.
All right, everybody, Court TV is the source. Thank you for joining me. This is Everyday Shenanigans. I'm going to turn that off. I'll be right back. Brief intermission where I can gather some information for this live to combat what was said inside of this Court TV document. One moment, please. Thank you for your patience. Hope everyone had a wonderful weekend. This commentary is pertaining to the bio mother speaking to Court TV, Vinnie Politan with her attorney. First of all, it was very disturbing listening to all the beeping noise in the background. I don't know whose end it was on, but I doubt it was Court TV's end. It was very annoying. And so why not go live from a place that is conducive to sheltering background noise? And I'm saying that. Disruptive to me. But that doesn't shock me that it would be background noise. First thing I thought, was she filming from a hotel room or first floor apartment? Just asking. Let's talk about the dollar amount pertaining to California and foster care, since this is an issue of incentiveness on part of the state. Vinny brought that up. I don't know if that was to be facetious in nature or not. So one could say, how is the state gaining by one, taking in children they don't have a place to put, and keeping children in foster care in order to receive more money from the state? So they're basically saying the state is paying the state because the money is coming from the state of California, the state government. And then the government is now paying money into a state office, which deals with foster care and adoption, and also paying the workers and said entities in a state office. So what is the gain? Because when you say they're going to gain something, you first have to have the parents in shelter in order to pay them, no matter whatever the dollar amount is. That's first and foremost. There has to be facilities for children to go into, such as group homes, foster homes. Are you following me? So whether you ask for a certain amount of money for the DHS office itself in different counties, cities, towns, you have to have somewhere to place the children. That's first and foremost. So how is the state gaining anything when, one, the children have to be placed somewhere? That's first and foremost. Now, if the state was getting higher income per position, one could say the state offices are gaining. The supervisors, the social workers, intake workers are making a high-paying position. Then one could say they're in it to win. It's all about the almighty dollar. So it depends on your perception of what an incentive is. Because as I said, if we're to believe that the state is just stealing children to make money to fund their offices, one, you have to have a place to place the children. And two, you have to have workers to work. And we know this is one of the most demeaning work there is besides teaching schools, one of the most low-paying positions in America. So I'm going to ask the question again. How are the workers, supervisors, gaining an incentive to work for a state office when, one, they don't make any money? Two, they don't have enough places to place the children, either in facilities or homes. So I'm going to say it one more time. How are they winning? This attorney goes on to say $4,000 to $7,000 a month. That's a lot of money, although California is one of the highest states in the union. You want me to believe in my right mind that the state, Kern County and other counties in California are paying foster homes and adoptive homes $4,000 to $7,000. Well, that's not what I have in my Rolodex. The state of California pays foster parents an average of $1,000 to $2,609 per month to help with expenses for taking care of the child. This is by the KnoxFamilyAgency.org. Next question, how much do foster parents get paid in Kern County? Rate changes. Speaking of money, the rate foster parents are paid will also be changing. Right now, it's $889 per month per child. That will change to increase the amounts of children with greater needs. This was posted June 6, 2017. So I was trying to find the most recent payment. So once again, the payment for 2021 is $657 to $820 per month. Now, $889 in June 17. 2021, factor in 4 years later, $657 to $820. For children who have special requirements, there is a specialized care increment ranging from $79 up to $840 per month, determined by the child's social worker. So I guess the social worker makes a decision on the pay, which I didn't know that a social worker would have that capability, but that's what it says here in this said information. So between 1,000 and 2609, 2020 data, and we're now in 2022. So up to $2,609, depending on the child's needs. So naturally, if the child is special needs, physical and or mental and or both, they will possibly get more money, possibly more than the 2609, I'm not sure. Either way, I'm trying to see how the state is making money off of keeping children that, one, you have to find a place for them to stay. Someone has to be in care of the children, which requires either a home and or a facility. So the information by the lawyer is contradictory. Because as I said, school teachers and social workers are the lowest paid fields in America with a degree. And now they have regular workers just taking in the information who don't have degrees. And that started a few years ago. Just processing the information. You're applying for help, let's say, food stamps and or whatever your needs were when you went into the office. In this commentary, Ryan Dean says she completed some classes, and then there was something about an ebony class or something that she didn't finish for a reason. Well, what was that reason, Ryan Dean? You didn't go into detail, which I found not surprising, because you know the reason you didn't finish whatever that ebony class course was. So we have to ask the ultimate question. Why didn't you finish? How long was the course? What year was the course? The other elephant in the room, besides all that damn beeping noise, is the fact that they're going back to 2019 of letters being written to the West family that she thinks the woman threw away, which she doesn't have proof that she threw the letter away. Two, the mother received information from the state that she passed the requirements to take in the children. Ron Dean says the mother set the room up nice, blah, blah, blah. But they decided to let the children stay where they were. They said that the children were with a lawyer and a doctor. Excuse me, a lawyer and a teacher or something like that. So who are those people? What happened to the black woman who kept the kids? This Miss LaToya lady that you were showing, you were speaking of, that was in the interview that the parents gave when this story first broke. What happened to that lady? Why didn't she want to show her face on camera while you all were out there hooping and hollering about the kids that day in December? What happened at that house? Why were the children taken from that house and then placed with the West? And who was this teacher and lawyer you all were speaking of that had custody of the children? So how did they get from those people home to the West home? Vinny asked her, what would she say to the West family right now? They were wrong. So it doesn't even sound like she's talking to them directly. It's like she's just talking about some random person, people. They were wrong. That's all you have to say to the people that killed your children that you've been fighting to get back. See, the timeline to me is the problem. The children were allegedly 3 and 4 when they went missing. Okay? Naturally, they would be older now. What is strange is how much time went by that she's allegedly visiting the children in a facility till the time they are placed with the West, whenever that was, and then adopted by the West. Your children left your household as infants. And I think that's the one thing that some of you are not paying attention to, is the timeline. Your children were taken from you a year apart because the boys are a year apart in age. So if the first one was removed from your care at 3 months or so, that means you had a whole year to get him back, child number one. Child number two, you allege, was taken a week after birth. So what one would have to ask himself is, why didn't you get child number one back? What was the cause of child number one? Now you're pregnant with child number two. Either you were already pregnant with child number two when the first one got gone, or you got pregnant shortly after child number one was removed from your care. Stay woke now. So how is it that the children are now toddlers, going house to house to house, foster care home, foster care home? And you, Ryan Dean, and your baby daddy or baby daddies don't have custody of the two boys. Why would it take so long for you to get custody back if, one, you were following whatever they asked you to do as far as classes, drug screenings, whatever, counseling, whatever? I don't know. I don't know what they asked you to do. But in my right mind, I'm saying to myself, why does she not have custody of these children at a reasonable enough time? That's where I have the problem. Because they allegedly died at 3 and 4 years of age. Okay? That's 2020. We're now in 2022. So you put 2 years onto their age now. If your children were adopted a year before they were 3 and 4, then that means the obvious. They were gone a few years out of your care and not returned to you. Why not? Why are you still visiting your children in foster care 2 and 3 years later? That makes no sense to me. And once again, the state are not mind readers, because obviously several people had the children, or a few had the children before the West. So the children could be in danger no matter who they're with. Because what some of you fail to realize and understand is the children were in jeopardy in the first place. That's why they went into foster care. Somebody saw fit to take her children. So this stuff that this attorney's talking about, old ways of doing things with child care, makes no sense to me. About trying to take the money to preserve the family. The point is, the state is the ones who are making the decision if the child or children should go back to the parent. If they don't see that the parent is a fit to take the child back, the monies coming to the state have nothing to do with what the parent is doing and not doing to get their child back. One, the children were removed for a reason, a year apart, each child. Two, she has other children she doesn't speak of, talk about, visit, take care of. No mention of them either in this court TV. And I'd like to know why the lawyer doesn't talk about those children, because they're not relevant naturally. It's all about Cal City. But the point is, the children were in danger with the mother. The point is, they were in danger day one. An infant cannot break his own damn leg. Number two, baby number two allegedly was not functioning at the capacity as a normal baby with functioning lungs. He was not. So that child was removed from the information I got from the source. So you cannot logically explain why your children are being removed from you, no matter if they made it to Jacqueline's house, whomever's house. Your children were in danger with you. You were the start of this. And by no means is there an excuse for what they did to the children. But the point remains, the children were in jeopardy. That's why they ended up in the state's care. And then they went from one place to the next. Why? Because as I've told you, a lot of people pass the children on for various reasons. Maybe they don't want the children anymore. Maybe the children became a problem. Maybe the children weren't getting along with the other children, vice versa. Maybe something happened to the children in the home that they were in, and the children had to be removed. So I'd like to know how many foster care homes, excuse me, were the children in? Where does the bio father fit in all of this? He said, she said. He's talked once to the news. Where was he? You hear information from the father, her mother. Mother got a letter stating that she was approved, but they decided not to give her custody of the children. What about her biological father? Why couldn't he take the children in? Was he notified? Did he receive a letter? Why are both of these parents now in a lawsuit with Ryan Dean? I find it very suspicious. I find it suspicious these people did not come out in the beginning and talk to the public when the children first went missing. I find it crass that Ryan Dean fell off shortly after the children went missing. So now we have the children's father, excuse me. Where was he while all this shuffling was going on, the children going from home to home, and the mother was taking these classes or whatever she was doing and not doing to get the children? What was he doing? Did the father take classes? Did he have to do drug tests to get the children? Did he attempt to get the children? You don't hear any of that from the father, but yet he's also suing the state and Jacqueline and Trezelle West, which I find ridiculous. Because if you didn't try to get your children back when they first got out of the mother's care, why are you now jumping out of a clown car trying to get money from the state when you didn't carry your weight to try to, one, get the children? Were you not allowed to get the children back? So you have to ask all those questions. Did the father apply to get custody? If so, what happened? Did he follow through or not follow through? Was he automatically denied? The issue with his mother, we hear that his mother allegedly was trying to get the children. Well, we haven't heard anything from her. Will she now be next to talk to Court TV? See, there's too many loose ends pertaining to the boys. And the thing that people fail to realize is that a story has to start somewhere. And the start was with Ryan Dean and the biological father. It's expected that people take the children in when the parents fall off. They're supposed to do right by the children. But in this case, that did not happen. So the children were doomed from start to finish. Because there are children who go into foster care and they have good tales. Some do and some do not. Unfortunately for these small babies, they don't have a good tale to tell. But I'd like to know the timeline, because it seems to me the children were gone a decent amount of time and never given back to the bio parents or relatives. Why not? That's where I have the questions. Why did it take you so long to follow the guidelines to get the children back? Because if your child was removed as an infant, child number one, why would it take you years to still be visiting the child in the state's care and not have child number one back, excuse me, and child number two? So you end up giving birth to a second child when you hadn't even gotten your first child back. And then the state allegedly takes the second child. And you don't even tell us why they took your second child. So is it because you didn't have your first child back and the state felt like you were not in the best position to be having child number two? Or did somebody call the state on you with child number two? Or is it because of what I was told, the child was not functioning properly? But then that's kind of contradictory, because it was seen once the baby came out, the baby would have shown signs once delivered, and the hospital would have kept the child. And the fact that you have a total of 4 children and you don't visit your 2 older children, you don't talk about your older children, leads me to believe that you are not genuine about the Cal City boys. And you were never genuine. That is why the children were removed. And that is why the fathers came in and took your older children. Each child has a different father, the older children. Why didn't they go into state's care? You see, that's the information that they don't like to talk about. Everything's about the Cal City boys, but there are 2 remaining living children that nobody speaks about. And I find that highly disturbing. That this mother has no dealings with her living children. And the focus is only on 2 dead babies that she never regained custody of. And those children were in the state's care as infants up until toddlers and then death. And why didn't she, her relatives, or the bio father get those kids back before being placed with the West family? And my understanding is that the West had the children a year in foster care and then adopted them out of foster care. And I didn't ever think she met Jacqueline or Trezell. For some reason, I just couldn't get an understanding on the timeline. So she tells us in this segment, she handed the woman a letter. Hope that she would, I don't know, read the letter to the children. Seems like to me you would have given that to a social worker and not Jacqueline. Just something about the story is off to me. Because you can't explain to me logically these children going from infants to toddlers in the care of foster system, and the mother and the father and the family members have yet to get custody of the children. Could it be the obvious reason the state decided to not give Ryan Dean custody because she didn't follow through with her classes and whatever was asked of her and the bio father? So to keep going on and on about it's a shame, it's a tragedy, it's a this, it's a that, you don't know what she was doing and not doing, she and the father. And the fact that you have 2 children taken from her care a year apart should tell you she was not doing what she was supposed to do to get her children back. And that has nothing to do with monies by the state, incentives, DHS, or the West family, or any other foster family. That's a Ryan Dean and baby father's issue. Why did you not get your children back? That's a question no one wants to answer. And to sit here on a live stream with all this damn noise banging in the background, and you couldn't even logically explain what happened with the one class, it's very strange to me. Yeah, I don't think she could pass the drug screen either. That's what I think the problem is. Probably one of the problems. You sat here on a live program, shaking your head, nodding, looking all off into the sky about, I know why I didn't finish that class. There was a reason, but she didn't give us the reason. So, Vinnie Politan, you left that open. You should have asked her, well, what happened? What happened to you not finishing the Ebony class? Because is that a possibility why child number 1 and child number 2 were not given back to you? So how many times does she have to take this Ebony class? Because you have to ask yourself, you're talking about 2 children. So you all are paying attention to the obvious. 2 children removed at 2 different times. You carry a baby for 9 months. So while one was out of her care, she's carrying another kid. So for a whole year, you don't have custody of baby number 1. What is it that you all don't understand about that? A whole year, you don't have baby number 1. Why not? Not you, family, boyfriend, nobody. You get knocked up, possibly while the First one's gone. And you lose that one after birth. Why did that one get taken? You don't say nothing about that in this interview. You don't talk about, were you taking courses for this one? So which courses are you speaking of? See, Vinny didn't ask the pertinent questions. How many classes did you have to take for both children? Did you have to take a drug screen for both children? What was the reason that you didn't take the Ebony class? Which child are you speaking of? Did you have to take drug screens for both children? See, all that's open-ended. Because you all are going to like the answer that Ryan Dean gives. And some of you refuse to accept that, one, you don't know her. You don't know her family. You don't know how she was living. You don't know how the families were living. And you don't know why the state made the decision to not return her children years into going back and forth to the foster care office. And that should be your first question. Why was she still visiting her children in foster care and not getting them back? That's the question. 2 children removed 2 separate times within a year, and the mother never regains custody of either child. And the children are formally adopted by the West family at least the ages of 2 and 3. So that means Ryan Dean was away from both children up to 3 years. Still visiting. And I find that baffling that the state would continue to have her going in and out of visiting her child up to 3 years in foster care. At some point, it seems the state would have severed ties with Ryan Dean long before one of the children turned 3. And that's what you all are not focusing on. That's too long to be visiting your children in the state's care. 2 to 3 years is too long. Because the children were removed as infants. So you can't logically explain letter writing, paper shuffling, visiting children in different facilities up to 3 years of age. Why did this go on that long? Is it perhaps the state was giving her chances and she did not comply? She, father, mothers, baby daddies, whomever, and the state severed her ties, which they can do. They filed for ownership of the children, and the judge grants it. And then the state literally owns the children, and the children can be either sent to more foster homes and or adopted by whomever. I just refuse to believe that the state of California and Kern County were rubbing their hands together in secrecy in a way to try to keep these children to fund their pockets. Because in the end, it is a responsibility to take care of the children. And it costs to take care of the children. And if the children have mental and physical needs, that is more money the state has to spend out per child a month. Food, clothes, doctor bills, doctor visits, counseling sessions. So how is the state winning? By having to take the same money to shell out for a child's needs and pay a family to keep the children. That's more money. So how is the state winning? When we know there are not a lot of people lined up to take in foster care children. And allegedly, they're supposed to pass background checks, financial checks, home checks, in order to receive foster care children and adoptions as well. You're entitled to your opinion, but I think the obvious has been spoken. And as I have said in many of my lives, I didn't need a source to tell me anything. I paid attention to the details. And the fact that a woman and a man allegedly were visiting foster care back and forth, allegedly, for up to 3 years and never regaining custody tells me everything I need to know. That Ryan Dean was not following protocol to get her children back. And at some point, the state decided to file for rights for the children. And that is how Jacqueline and Giselle West were able to adopt the children. Because 2 to 3 years is too long to be visiting your children in foster care. I could only see this if one of the parents was sick in a hospital and was in hope of getting out and getting well, and or they were incarcerated. But we already know the jail is not going to let you out to go visit your children in foster care. So you can't logically explain what she was doing for 3 years in visiting her children in foster care. This is a very heinous crime, plural, what was done to the children. They did not deserve death, but no child deserves death or to be abused. And the state is not a mind reader, because the one thing you all failed to realize is that initially, these children, like so many other children, were abused in the care of their mother and father and were removed for a reason. And who's to say these children or any other child could not have ended up dead in the care of their own mother and father? And when she was filming this live here, where was she? Was this her own apartment, house? Where does she live? Why is it that she fell off the past year after the children were reported missing? Why is it she never kept a home, apartment, car when she had her own children? See, those are the questions nobody asks. And some of you don't seem to care. And is that possibly the reason why she didn't get her children back? She didn't follow protocol, classes, drug screenings, didn't pass them, wouldn't take them. And she didn't keep a roof over her head. Didn't keep a car, didn't keep monies, didn't keep a job. See, you all aren't asking that. You're just looking at somebody pretending to cry in front of a camera, but you're not looking at what's obvious. You have to have a decent home to get your children back. You have to follow the protocol to get them back. If other people are vying for the children, they have to have a decent home, background, income to get them back. And possibly whatever you've done to your children, allegations against you, may be the reason you don't get them back and the reason why your family don't get the children. Because if the state thinks that the children will be in danger again, they have every reason not to give your family the children. For fear you will leave the children with the same mother, father, unattended, and there will be another accident for the state to step back in and start the process all over again. Thank you for joining me. If you'd like to donate to the channel and the dream of everyday shenanigans, $ Big Angie, 129 Cash App, excuse my voice. You all have a wonderful week. That's my commentary pertaining to this interview. I believe it was a bogus interview, and it's not any fault of Vinnie Politan, but there was a question where he left open when she basically told you there was a reason why she didn't finish the Ebony class, and she didn't explain why, and he didn't ask. And that is why she's able to do these reindeer gang interviews, because nobody's asking the pertinent questions. Nobody's asking the pertinent questions. And yes, There's information that the trial has been pushed forward, backward, whichsoever, to October. Because the defense has evidentiary material that they need to go over. And I had said that to somebody the other day. The only reason I can see the trial being put off is because the defense is not ready. And that's what I read. Attorneys for Jacqueline Giselle need more time to go over evidentiary material. So the trial will not be going on the 25th of July this month. It will be in the fall, October, allegedly. Thank you for joining me. Thank you all for tuning in. Welcome new subscribers, visitors, listening. Thank you all so much. As I said, pardon my voice, very hoarse this weekend. God bless all of you. Stay safe. If you see something, say something. Be a part of the solution and not the problem. And I'm going to say this before I check out of here. The reason why we have all the problems we have in this world is because people don't like to get involved. They don't like to say anything. They don't like to meddle. And I got a funky feeling that a lot of people saw what was going on with the children. Thank you, sweetheart. And they didn't say anything. I think they knew that the children were being left with different people watching the children. That's how the one child got the leg cracked. People saw that the mother was drinking and smoking and chiefing while pregnant with her children. Didn't say nothing to her, didn't tell her, hey, why are you doing that? She probably had different people coming in and out of the places she lived with her children. She didn't keep a decent place to live. She didn't keep her own place. She didn't keep a car. She didn't keep money, a job. And those are things you all fail to realize. How are you going to raise children and you don't even have your own place to live? And different people coming in and out of a house, having access to your child. And you're leaving your children with any and everybody to watch wherever you're going. And you think something bad can't happen to your child. And now you want to question who she is and the father now, as if they had nothing to do with how the children got to the West in the first place. She has everything to do with it. She and the bio father. And by no means what happened to those children was right. But she and the father are the jump off. And the West finished what Ryan Dean and the bio father started. And that's how I look at it. They're all responsible in my book. And there are many children who go into foster care who maybe weren't abused, but the parents just couldn't take care of them. And they face the same situation. They're going in houses with people they do not know. And one can only pray that they are treated accordingly. But the point is, you don't know people. So it's easy to judge Jacqueline and Giselle West because they are accused of heinous crimes. But how are they any different than the bio parents? Because to me, abuse is abuse. They just didn't die in the hands of Ryan Dean and the bio father. But allegations of abuse is the jump off of how they were able to get into foster care in the first place. Sin versus sin. Bottom line. And now everybody wants to sue the state for them sinning and losing custody of their children. How is that right? Did you get a payout for abusing your child and or putting your child in harm's way to be abused? How is that right? It's not. Thank you for joining me. This is Everyday Shenanigans.